Hey guys, in this video I'm comparing how HubSpot and ActiveCampaign handle email marketing automation. Head to head, no fluff. Hey, my name is Robin and I test marketing software tools for a living. And I publish tutorials, reviews and comparison videos like this one. And if you're planning on signing up for ActiveCampaign or HubSpot, don't miss out on this. Pause the video here if you want to read this. So we're just going to go back and forth between ActiveCampaign and HubSpot's tools so you can quickly see what the differences are and what the similarities are. And let's start with the navigation. So how do we navigate to the workflows? So within HubSpot, I'm now logged in my HubSpot account. We're going to go to automations and we're going to go to workflows. And here you see a list of your workflows and automations. So this is my ActiveCampaign account. And as I just mentioned, we're just going to go back and forth so you can compare the two tools quickly. So this is the ActiveCampaign account. To go to automations inside ActiveCampaign, it's pretty similar. You're going to click on automations. And then over here, we can see a list of our workflows or automations as they're called inside ActiveCampaign. So let's now have a quick comparison at the different ways on how they organize the automations. So HubSpot allows you to organize your automations in various ways. So you can sort the automation on type. You can also sort the automation based on the different actions you have inside the workflow. You can also sort on the creator of the workflow. And what is pretty cool, you can create custom views, as you can see. So these are the different views. So for example, you could create a view of only your active workflows. So you can quickly see that so they don't get buried in all your inactive workflows. So ActiveCampaign also allows you to filter on inactive and active automations, as you can see, but you cannot create a custom view inside ActiveCampaign like you can in HubSpot. I do like this one, so sort by, and then you can filter on highest activity. So if you want to decide on which automation you should edit or tweak or customize first, always focus on the highest activity, of course, because that will make the biggest impact in your business. And then over here, we can also filter on the different triggers we have inside the automation or the different actions we have, similar as with HubSpot. So I created this little summary here. So for automation management, what we just discussed, I rated ActiveCampaign a 4-star rating and HubSpot a 5-star rating. It offers a little more options in terms of filtering and creating those custom views. I like that. So let's continue with creating a workflow. So to build a workflow in HubSpot, we click on create a workflow. So then we can choose from scratch or from template. So to start a workflow in ActiveCampaign, we follow a similar process. We click on create an automation. So now we can choose one of the templates or we can start from scratch. And by the way, we can also import an automation if someone shared it with you, which is pretty cool. But anyway, let's start from scratch. I'm going to click on start from scratch and I'm going to click on continue. So similar with HubSpot, we're going to also start from scratch. So the next step, we have to choose a trigger for our workflow. So first, this is the HubSpot starting from scratch dashboard. Here we have to decide on the trigger for our workflow. So triggers are what start the workflow. So you can go with things like data changes, like when a contact joins a list, or digital interactions. So like when a contact joins through a form submission, so this is form events, or when a contact clicks a link in an email marketing and sales email event, so clicked link in an email, we can trigger a workflow from that as well, or automation triggered. And then you can choose sequence events, but for this you have to have access to the sales hub of HubSpot. So these are sales sequences basically. So contact booked meeting through a sequence, contact enrolled in a sequence, but you also have workflow events. So you could trigger a workflow when a workflow goal is achieved, or when a contact enrolled in a specific workflow or unenrolled from a workflow. So these are the options inside HubSpot. So this is ActiveCampaign's starting from scratch dashboard, which is way more clean in my opinion. So again, this is HubSpot's dashboard starting from scratch. This is ActiveCampaign. Again, HubSpot, ActiveCampaign. Do you see the difference between the two? So this is way more clear in my opinion. There's just one option, add a starting trigger, or this here, add an action. HubSpot is way more cluttered. There is way more options, way more buttons. But don't get ActiveCampaign's clear dashboard fool you, because there is a lot of starting triggers, as you can see. This is the entire list of starting triggers. But here again, the way this is presented to me, it's a bit clearer overview. So for example, I can filter on category. So for example, like e-commerce or sales and CRM. etc. And while HubSpot is a little bit vague, they use terms like data changes, digital interactions, automations triggered, and you have to figure out what these different types of names mean. But let's say in HubSpot we want to trigger the workflow when someone joins our email list. We click on data changes, then list membership changed, add it to list, and then select the list. So for example, newsletter email list. So here we can see the specific trigger of our workflow. We can tweak it if we want. If we go to the next step, so here we can filter out specific contacts if we want. So you can add condition and you can filter out specific contacts. If we go to the next step, we are in the settings tab, and here we can add some more settings, like if we want to re-enroll them. And here I can set unenrollment settings. So for example, if they meet a specific workflow goal, so if we enable this, for example, here we can decide on a workflow goal. So for example, a deal property. So let's say we want to unenroll a contact if the deal stage is changed. So inside the CRM, if it's one or is it last, for example, we can unenroll them from this specific workflow. And then click on save and continue. So this is how you add the starting trigger inside HubSpot. So let's go to ActiveCampaign, and if we click on add a starting trigger, so for example, subscribes to a list, here we select the list. So for example, the master list. So similar here, do we want to enroll them multiple times or only once? Here we can segment the contacts entering this automation if we want, similar as within HubSpot, and then we click on save. So here again, the process is a bit more smooth with ActiveCampaign in my opinion. So HubSpot bombards me with lots of options, and in ActiveCampaign, some of these options are listed here on the right hand side. So a contact can enter this automation. Here we can edit this, we can filter it. A contact exit when, so here we can filter this. So when do we want to unenroll a contact from a specific workflow? But if we click the plus icon here, ActiveCampaign also has the goal action. So jump to an action when the contact matches conditions. So when a certain goal is met. So similar within HubSpot, within the settings tab, met a workflow goal. So in ActiveCampaign, we have this option, add a goal. So up until this point, I like the process better with ActiveCampaign. The process is a little bit more user-friendly. It's a little bit more beginner-friendly. So the process is just a little bit more smooth in my opinion. So let's have a quick look at the overview, at the summary here. So creating a workflow. So both platforms let you start from scratch or use templates. You can even import shared automations in ActiveCampaign, which is pretty cool. But when it actually comes to choosing a trigger to start your automation, ActiveCampaign's layout just makes more sense. It's clean, well organized, and lets you filter by category. So HubSpot's interface for deciding on a trigger feels way more cluttered. It's a bit vague, and especially if you're looking for something specific, like an e-commerce trigger, you not know where to look basically. So that's why ActiveCampaign 5 stars, HubSpot 2 stars. So the next thing when creating a workflow is to choose an action. So within HubSpot, to add an email to our workflow, we click the plus icon and then we click on send an email. And here you see a list of the emails we already created, or you can create a new email. And the email creation process in HubSpot is a bit cumbersome in my opinion. Like if we click create new email, this here is what we see. This is our email editor. So the email name, the from name, and this is the email body, the email editor. It's a very small window for us to write a text-only email. We don't have the regular drag and drop builder we used to in HubSpot or any other email marketing tool basically. We can use the drag and drop editor if we want though, but then we have to click over here on email tool. And then over here we can create our email like in the drag and drop builder. And once we've done that, we have to go back to automations. We have to go back to workflows, select the workflow we were editing. That's usually the top one. We have to add an email again. So we have to click the plus icon again here. We're going to go to communications, send an email, and then and only then we can select the email we just created and add it to the workflow. So for example, the top one over here. So this entire process is a bit cumbersome, right? So in ActiveCampaign, if we click the plus icon, it's immediately at the top here because it's one of the most popular actions, of course. So we're going to click on send an email. So now we have several options. We can also click on save and design later if we just want to build out the automation first without writing that email, but we can also create a new email or start from an existing email. So if we want to create a new email like we did within HubSpot, we can do that here. So we're going to start from scratch, for example. You can edit the email name, the subject line, the from name, and here we can edit the design. It opens a new window where we can edit the design of the email. And once we're done with the design, we're going to click on save and exit. And once more on save. So now you can see the email inside your automation. It's way more simpler than within HubSpot. So let's have a quick look at the summary again. So adding emails to workflows. So this is where ActiveCampaign pulls ahead again. You can create and insert an email directly in the workflow builder, and the process is smooth. Creating an email in HubSpot is a bit of a chore. First, you have to find it. So if you click on plus, you're going to go to communications, send an email. Then we have to choose an email or create a new email. And then we have this little window, right? And if you want to use the drag and drop builder, you got to jump over to another tool, create your email, and then come all the way back here to plug that email into this workflow. So it's a little bit cumbersome. So ActiveCampaign 4 stars, which is good. And then HubSpot a 2-star rating, adding emails to a workflow. So another common action item is the delay. So let's say we want to send another email after 1 day. That means we have to add a delay. So within HubSpot, this is our first email. So let's say we want to add a 1-day delay. So we click the plus icon here. We're going to go to delay and then select for a set amount of time and choose, for example, 1 day. That is what we want. And then click on save. So now we added the delay inside HubSpot. So let's have a look at ActiveCampaign. We want to add a delay here too. We're going to click the plus icon. So as you can see, it knows like after an email, the most common action is a waiting trigger. So for example, if you now click wait here, we click a set period of time and then also 1 day. Now if we click the plus icon here again, the suggested action is send an email. So it knows like after a waiting trigger, we don't want to add another waiting trigger. So it's a bit more intuitive. But like the bottom line, there is no real big difference here. Both HubSpot and ActiveCampaign offer similar flexibility with the delay trigger. So the summary, adding delays, both a 4-star rating for adding a delay. So now let's go a bit more advanced. Let's say we want to A/B test 2 emails in an automated workflow. So with ActiveCampaign, if we click the plus icon, we can use the split action feature. So you find this feature inside the workflow tab, and then here we have the split feature. So with HubSpot, we have to click the plus icon as well. And then we have the branch feature over here. So in other words, both tools allow us to create an A/B split for our automated workflows. So if we click the split feature inside ActiveCampaign, here you can see the different options ActiveCampaign offers. And ActiveCampaign does have a few more options than HubSpot, like the, for example, split until. So context will be sent to path A until date or conditions are met. So use path A for 100 contacts. This is path A, and then the rest will go to path B. So this specific feature could be useful when using discount codes, for example, or something else. So for example, the first 100 people that click a link or perform a certain action get rewarded with a discount code. That's an example. The rest will go to path B. Also, I received this ActiveCampaign newsletter of May updates. And one of the new features is that it will implement the option to create an A/B test within the email itself. So now if you want an A/B test, you have to create something like this, where you add one email on path A and the other email on path B. And here you can A/B test. But with this new feature, as you can see over here in the screenshot, so if I open this image a little bit in a bigger screen, here you can see it a little bit better. So here you have email 1 and there you have email 2. So this is a new feature that's coming soon. So you won't have to do the split paths any longer for automation if you just want to test 2 versions of an email. So you don't have to do this any longer. And just so you know, this feature over here, which is for the automation builder, this one is already accessible in the regular newsletter. So this is the regular newsletter where you can create different versions of an email, but most email marketing tools have this A/B test feature for a regular newsletter, but not for an automated workflow. That's the big difference here. So as I just mentioned, with HubSpot, you can do the branching. If you click on the branch here, random distribution by percentage, click on save. And as you can see, this is a similar functionality as we have with ActiveCampaign. But as far as I know, HubSpot doesn't have any feature or any feature coming soon where you can A/B test that right in an email, what I just showed you was coming soon for ActiveCampaign. But using this feature, you can do it as well. So taking a look at the summary again, A/B testing and split paths. So I gave ActiveCampaign a 5-star rating and HubSpot a 4-star rating. So both platforms let you split contacts into different paths. So the A/B testing. But ActiveCampaign offers a little bit more options like the split until functionality, which is super useful if you're doing things like limited time discounts, for example. And also ActiveCampaign is about to roll out the A/B testing inside the email editor itself, so you won't even need to use the split paths for that particular use case anymore. And HubSpot doesn't have that yet, as far as I know. And if you're planning on signing up for ActiveCampaign or HubSpot, don't miss out on this. Pause the video here if you want to read this. So another more advanced email marketing automation feature is the if-else action, where you split your contacts based on certain conditions. So within HubSpot, you click the plus icon again, you use the similar branch tool, and here we have the and or logic. This is what it's called inside HubSpot, and here we can add criteria. So for example, let's say we want to see if they interacted with one of our previous emails in the workflow. We're going to click the add criteria. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Here we have marketing emails, and then we select the email that we want to see if they interacted with the email. So for example, this email. So for example, contact opened the email. So if that contact opened that email, you will go to branch 1 or path A as it is called inside ActiveCampaign. And if none of the criteria are met, go to the other path. I'm going to click on save. And here you can see that we are checking whether or not they opened that email. If yes, they're going to go to branch A. And if not, they're going to go to this path over here. So ActiveCampaign has a similar feature. You're going to click the plus icon. You're going to go to if else. Then you're going to select actions, has opened any email, or you can select a specific email over here. And then you're going to click on save. So have they opened that email? Yes, they go to path A, and no, they go to this path. So it's a little bit more clearer in my opinion. So they have a really a yes and no path, while in HubSpot, it is just called branch or none met. This makes a little bit more sense. It's yes and no, but that's just my opinion. Then we have CRM integration. So both ActiveCampaign and HubSpot allow you to automate CRM related tasks within their marketing automation features. So again, click the plus icon. Then inside ActiveCampaign, we have the CRM tab over here with all the different actions you can add to your automation workflow. Within HubSpot as well, click on the plus icon, and there we have the CRM option here, which also has a list of different actions you can add to your workflow. So most email marketing tools offer segmentation, but their flexibility and depth vary, and that can impact your strategy. So if we take a look at ActiveCampaign, so if we click the plus icon here, so let's say we're gonna use an if-else action over here, and this is the segmentation builder of ActiveCampaign. So here is an example segment I created inside ActiveCampaign, and you can use these segments within your workflow builder too, within your automation builder. So for example, let's say we want to target customers who have made a purchase within the last 30 days, but only if they are located in specific regions and also have engaged with at least 3 marketing emails. So for example, last order date is on or after today, right? And then minus 30 days, because we want to target customers who have made a purchase within the last 30 days. So this already is a little bit complex. Not all email marketing tools allow for this level of flexibility in the segmentation builder. So I'm now in the segmentation builder of HubSpot, and here you can see the different conditions I added. So recent deal close date is less than 30 days ago. So HubSpot has this option too. Similar to ActiveCampaign, it calls it a little bit different. So here in ActiveCampaign, it calls an order date. Here we can use the deal date. So then we only want to target specific regions. So for example, country is United States, country is United Kingdom, country is Canada. And we have to use the OR feature here, the OR functionality. So here HubSpot has this option too, is equal to any of these regions or countries. And then we have the email opens, so greater than or equal to 3. And HubSpot has a similar feature here. Marketing emails opened is greater than or equal to 3. So again, this is just a random example. So if you have specific criteria for a segment, for segment building, then you have to try it out yourself. But there are a lot of options in both HubSpot and ActiveCampaign for its segmentation builder, and you can use this segmentation builder in the automation builder or workflow builder too. So let's take a look at the summary again, the if-else conditions. 4-star rating for both platforms, ActiveCampaign and HubSpot. So both platforms let you branch out your workflow based on things like whether someone clicked on a previous email, for example. So the setup is slightly different. So HubSpot uses branches, as they're called inside HubSpot, but the functionality is pretty much the same. So testing automation. So before launching an automation to your full audience, you'll probably want to test it first to make sure everything works as expected. So if you just want to test the emails inside your workflow and inside ActiveCampaign, you're going to click this icon over here, and here we have messages, and here we can test all the emails. So this is also possible inside HubSpot. You're gonna click the email, and here on actions you can send a test email. But HubSpot also lets you test automated campaigns. You want to test the campaign as well, right? So just click on test here, and here you can choose a random contact to see what's happening if you choose that record. So for example, for this specific contact, this contact is not added to this list, so they will not be added to this workflow. But you can also go to manual over here. So let's say this contact is added manually to this list. Then the next step is the branch. So did they open a specific email? No, they did not, so they will move to this path, but there are no actions in this path, so the workflow ends. But let's say we're going to choose branch 1. Here you see what happens next, and you can basically follow every action over here to see how a contact will move through a workflow. ActiveCampaign doesn't have the exact same testing routine. What ActiveCampaign advises you to do is just to add an example contact to the automation to see how the automation performs. And this is a good thing to note. So for example, this is my email address, so at gmail.com, obviously not with the +1, but if you add a +1 or a +2 or a +3, you can add as many of your own email address to ActiveCampaign or any other email marketing tool basically. But this is basically a unique email address because of those +1, +2, +3. It's a handy tip. Anyway, if you're on the contact profile page here, you can add a contact to an automation. So let's say I want to test this automation 40. I'm going to add that contact to automation 40. And now if we click here on automation 40, you can click on view, and here you see what's happening. So contact entered 32 seconds ago. As you can see, contact added to this automation manually. We're now at the waiting trigger, wait for 1 day. And here we can skip this action if we want to test this automation. So I'm going to click on skip this action. And now this email is actually also skipped because the contact is not subscribed yet to any list. So that particular contact is not added to any list, but you should add that contact to a list first, and then you can also test these emails. Now this contact is at this action, we can skip this action, and now as you can see, the contact has reached the end of the automation. So this is a way to test your automations inside ActiveCampaign. So looking at this summary of all my ratings, the only part where HubSpot came out on top was with the automation management, where you can create custom views. Remember at the beginning of this video. But overall, the winner is ActiveCampaign in my opinion. And if you're planning on signing up for ActiveCampaign or HubSpot, don't miss out on this. Pause the video here if you want to read this.